Donald Trump knows at this point that his Jeffrey Epstein scandal isn't going away. He has tried to run from it, shut down Congress because of it. He is paying people off and bribing them not to talk about it. And of course, you know I'm talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who Donald Trump has worked out a little sweetheart deal with and continues to tease a pardon of. But we just got more information about how disgusting and despicable this deal is because someone within the prison that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to and is speaking up, leaking it all, and it is making Donald Trump panic. And we're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what was shared about Maxwell's time in this prison so far and how it connects all of Donald Trump's cover-up, I want to start with the last thing we heard from her that Rachel Maddow broke down right here.
No criminal, certainly no one convicted in conjunction with a horrific crime like child sex abuse, no criminal should be given a reward for doing interviews about their crimes, right? It's instinctively repulsive to us as Americans. But of course, that is what Donald Trump's Justice Department appears to have just done in the case of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of crimes related to mass child sex abuse in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Trump's Justice Department sent Trump's former personal defense lawyer, who now has the #2 job in the U.S. Justice Department, he sent that man to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, do an interview, and then she immediately got a big, very important material benefit. She got bumped down to a minimum security prison where a sex offender like her is not allowed to be, unless they get some special dispensation from on high, which apparently she got just after doing this interview with the president's former personal defense lawyer. Special treatment and a reward for an interview about her crimes, not from some craven tabloid or some, soulless exploitative publisher like New York state legislators were worried about in the 1970s. No, this is from the president's administration. This is from the federal government. And in that interview, it's not like the president's lawyer was pressing her real hard on what she was telling him. At one point, Ghislaine Maxwell volunteered in this interview that there were multiple members of President Trump's cabinet who had been involved with child sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in the interview, the president's lawyer, we can hear, it's on the tape. The president's lawyer hears her say that about multiple members of President Trump's cabinet, and he responds to her saying that by not asking anything about it. You can listen to it. She volunteers. Members of Trump's cabinet, people who the president's lawyer would value as colleagues, she says. She says they were among the people who she knows socialized with Jeffrey Epstein. She says that bluntly. And then listen to how Donald Trump's lawyer responds to that. Listen to the long pause he greets that information with, and then he just leaves it sitting right where it is and moves on to a different topic.
Did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there is no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, some of you in your cabinet.
So this woman who's in prison, a 20-year sentence because of her crimes she committed with Jeffrey Epstein. She says, hey, members of Donald Trump's cabinet were involved with this thing that I was part of. We're involved with Epstein. She said, plural, right? Some are in your cabinet. Some are in your cabinet who you value as your coworkers. Multiple members of the president's cabinet were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And the response to her volunteering this in this interview is not, who? Which members of the cabinet? Say what now? The response is, long pause, let's move on.
I don't think that Donald Trump believes he can necessarily cover up all of the Epstein files. Democrats will soon be in power. We are really days away at this point from a signature on the discharge petition from Adelita Grijalva to make sure that there is an up or down vote on the Epstein files on the House floor. And I have talked to many Democrats in Congress who say there will be at least 40 Republicans, if not somewhere closer to 80, 90, 100, who vote to release the Epstein files. So Donald Trump can't stop that. What I think he's most worried about at this point are news stories. What's not in those files? What isn't recorded already? What hasn't been shared? And it's why he wants to shut up Maxwell. It's why he moved her to that prison to be pampered, even though she's a fucking pedophile. And now it's all backfiring on Trump as more is coming out. Prison is running massive Ghislaine Maxwell cover-up for Trump. Insider. Officials at the Bureau of Prisons have instituted a unique system for keeping absolutely every detail about Ghislaine Maxwell secret, a federal prison consultant revealed on the Daily Beast podcast. Maxwell was moved to a cushier jail after an order came from well above their heads following a visit from Trump's former personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, who is the number 2 at the DOJ. The notorious partner in crime to Jeffrey Epstein was quietly transferred in August from a federal correctional institute in Tallahassee, Florida, to a federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas that is known for its comforts relative to other jails. Sam Mangle, a former inmate turned prison consultant for high-profile names like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, explained that the BOP is now working overtime to keep every detail about Maxwell out of the news. Mangle, whose job it is to work with high-profile inmates, said he never had seen a cover-up operation like this before. When they go into a prison, anybody of that type of stature or fame, inmates tend to be very curious. They want to almost live vicariously through them, and many of the staff tend to be very deferential to them because they understand who they are and who their friends might be. In this case, with Miss Maxwell, it is completely different. They were warned, the inmates and the staff were warned prior to her coming, and that under no circumstance are they to disclose anything that happens with her or to her or surrounding her during her time at Bryan. And Mangle says that was no idle threat. In one case, there was one inmate that told somebody, a journalist, something about her, and this young lady was a friend of one of my clients, and she had a very short sentence. Keeping in mind, prison phones and emails are subject to be monitored, so you know for sure they have an AI system that is just looking for the name Maxwell. And as soon as this other inmate made the statement, she was whisked off that night to Houston Federal Detention Center, which is a maximum security facility. The sentiment is one of walking on ice. They're afraid, as the staff is afraid, to do anything wrong because they know that in order for her to have gotten there, the strings at the highest possible level. In that case, in the case of Maxwell, who was serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking, the BOP also took the rare step of waiving the public safety factor related to her sex crime conviction to overcome a very severe restriction that would have prevented her transfer to a minimum security prison in Texas from a federal prison in Florida. Anything involving these acts is the most serious or one of the most serious public safety factors someone can have on them, and that specifically precludes any individual from serving their time in a camp. Mangle told the host, Joanna Coles, "I've helped thousands of people. They will not waive their public safety factor," he said of the BOP, "so getting your transfer to a camp is crazy." Maxwell, 63, has been staying at a dorm-style facility closer to her family that houses other high-profile criminals, including Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes and members of The Real Housewives. The transfer, of course, came after Maxwell sat down with Todd Blanche. Mangle also believed that safety concerns played a role in Maxwell's transfer, citing violent offenders jailed at the low-security prison in Tallahassee. "I truly believe that once she started cooperating, the BOP had to move her," he said. "It was the only solution for the Bureau of Prisons if their goal was to keep her safe and alive. If they moved her to another low-security facility, they would have had the same challenges." So that last line might be of the most interest to me, that there is an interest in keeping her alive, that it is important for Donald Trump that he can potentially lean on the testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell at any point. And why would Donald Trump need to do that? Why would Donald Trump need Ghislaine Maxwell to talk? She already gave her interview and, of course, likely gave away anything that Todd Blanche wanted. But is Donald Trump looking for a more public spectacle? It seems he's happy to do that with people who are outwardly guilty, who have professed to their guilt, in the case of George Santos, whose sentence was just commuted. But when Donald Trump was asked about a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, he said this.
The Supreme Court is back, and they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it.
Of course, Donald Trump is opening the door to pardoning a violent criminal. That's what Donald Trump is. Donald Trump loves criminals. Donald Trump is always trying to justify crimes. He surrounds himself with the worst people in the world. And there's no excuses that you can make for it, even though, boy, did Kash Patel try.
You clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No, I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is
most-
protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of the California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said
take
I'm the most
control of this
transparent
situation.
FBI director.
These people are embarrassing themselves. We see right through this. We know what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish, and we will continue to call him out. And if you want to support our work doing so on this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let him silence you. And if you want to support the show in another way, you could become a free or paid subscriber to my Substack by clicking here or down below. Until next time, I'll see you soon.